Hello class, my super active students. Okay, so hope all of you are doing well, right? And today we will be continuing our resource thing only, which will be land resource, water resource, natural vegetation, and wildlife resource. So we will be dealing with all these resources, and together we will learn how to conserve all these resources. So first we will start with land resource. So the land, it is the solid part, right? So it's covered with the total earth surface coverage. We have only 30% as land area and the rest is the water. Okay. So in the 30% area, all the land, like all the land are not favorable for human habitation. So some land areas are favorable for human habitation and the other land area or places is not because the land have variations. Some are the mountainous and some are plain, plateau. Okay, so that's why the human are distributed unevenly in this 30% of the land. Like the 90% of the world population is living only in 30% land area. And the rest, the left 70% land is having either there is no population, like it's not an uninhabitable area, or there is some people will be living in this area. So you can see there is a concentration of population, high concentration of population in only 30% of the land area. So what, why we are having this uneven distribution of population? Like we have studied the land, how the land is dominating. The reason is this, and also the climate. Even the climate is also a determining factor. If there is very high temperature or very low temperature, this is very unfavorable condition. In this spaces, either there will be no population if that much temperature is there, because we human beings will not be able to live there, right? So if the condition of that area is like a tolerable condition is there, that time maybe some population is inhabited in that area. Right. So the sparsely populated region are where there is rough topography, steep slopes, okay, the low-lying area where the water get locked, desert area, okay, where we have that land is sand, that sand dunes in the Rajasthan area in our India, we can see that. Okay, then we have the thick forested areas also, the dense forest areas. There will the person will not be living in the dense forest area or sparsely like tribals. Some tribals are living in those regions. Okay, and the densely populated, like highly concentrated people are, like you can able to see in this image also, densely populated areas are the plain areas, because there will be river valleys, which is very beneficial for the agriculture, the most favorable condition. In that area, we will have high agriculture production, right? That is why in this zone, in this area, we have high population concentration. Moving to the next, the land use. It's not the people land. The land is only used for the habitation, right? We the land have many different purposes. We use land for agriculture, right? We have studied that why their density populated is correlated with the agriculture, the plain areas, right? Even forestry, mining, also the minerals, the plateau lands have the minerals. In those areas, we have the mining factor. Then we have building houses used like population, and the roads is also there for the transportation. Except here, all this require land area. Even the landing of the aeroplanes or the it requires land. So the land is very important factor for us. Okay. So what are the factors which determine the land pattern, the land use pattern? Okay. The first is the physical factors. So physically, we have topography according to the soil, according to soil topography. What type of topography is it? Is it mountainous or it's plain or it's plateau, right? So if minerals availability, if the mineral, the type of mineral available in the land, right? If it's like if the iron ore is present, that type of industries will be settled in those land, in those areas, and the mining will be taking place, and the also the water availability is also there. And the human factor is the population. If the population is increasing so much, that time we have to build houses. So in this way, the population factor is determining the land use pattern, and the technology. The day by day, the technology is updating. We are like in this way, we are modifying our environment, our land use. So land are also classified. We can see that there is a park where everyone can visit, and we have some area where no one, like except the owner, no one is able to visit that place, right? So that is why we have a classification. That is the basis of ownership. On the basis of ownership, we have private land and the community land. So what's a private land? That is the land which is owned by an individual. Like I have owned that land and I have the authority to do anything on that land, or like I need some permission, but it is my land. No one can enter in that area without my permission, right? But we, on the opposite side, we have a community land where a group of people, a community, use that land for different purposes, right? For the collection of the fruits, foders, or the nuts. Even we can say the park area is also type of community land. So this type of land is also known as common property resources. Yeah. So this is common property resources. Okay. So what we have seen, the land use pattern is determining by the human factor also, and the one of that factor is population. But the day by day, the population increasing so much, right? So the demands are also increasing. Because of this, the land use is changing, is getting like modified with the human needs. Like in the urban areas, the land which is suitable for agriculture or different uses, it's been interchanged or switched to the commercial purposes for building like industries or like this things. Okay. And also in the rural area, what is happening with the population increase, demand also increase, and the agricultural land, the production, to increase the production of the crop, the output increment. So but we have but the land is limited only to 30%. Of this we have to fulfill our demand, the growing population demand. Because of this, we are having threat to the land. What is the threat or into the environment? Land depletion, the quality of the land is degrading, the landslide is also there, and the soil erosion. The soil is getting eroded because of this, because we're changing the pattern. We're cutting the trees, deforestation is taking place, and also desertification. These are the threats to environment because of the growing population demand. So what we can do to conserve our resource, the important resource, that is the land. Firstly, the most important, right? Everyone knows that we should plant trees. We should like encourage afforestation, right? Okay. Then we have to check that it is that we know that presently there is degradation taking place. So we should need to check on that degradation. We should regulate, like we should have put a stop or try to limit that degradation. Okay. And also we should put on check on overgrazing, that pasture, the land is for the cattle, right? We should put a check on that overgrazing also. And while agriculture, we use pesticide, chemical pesticide or the fertilizer, so that the crop cultivation or the production gets improvised, or we didn't face any problem, because if the crops is affected by the pest, that time we will be facing loss. So because of this, we are using fertilizer and pesticide. So we should also check that the pesticides and the fertilizers like is not that much harmful for the land. We should put a check. And the last one is that land reclamation. This is what? This is creating new land by different things, like in the low-lying area, giving some more sands, putting the sands, or by this way we can create new land. Okay. So this is about the land conservation. And then we will have our soil. So this is, we have seen the soil. It is the what we have seen, we can touch, like if you can see in this image, it's the thin layer of grainy substance which is in the topmost layer, that is the topper surface, we get it, right? And it is made up of what? We have minerals, the organic matter, the fertility, the that is the nutrients. Okay, so we have all this thing in the soil. How the soil is taking, like how the soil formation is taking place, it's like a weathering process. And the weathering is the big rocks are breaking down, decaying due to high temperature, or the frost section, like when the temperature is increasing, due to that there is a pressurized in the rock, between the rocks. Okay, because of this the weathering is taking place. And also the plants and animal and we human also responsible for the weathering, like the rat. Okay, so plants by the roots, all this are leading to what? Soil formation. So how we can decide that the soil is fertile? It should have a right mixture, like there is a right mixture of the minerals and the organic matter. Okay, so in this way, the soil is having the fertility. So we have a soil profile. Okay, the soil profile at the bottom level, we have the parent rock, the big sized rock. Okay, so at the bottom level, we have the parent rock. And then we have the rocks that weathered and becoming quite smaller related to the parent rock. Then we have the weathered rock material. And then we have the subsoil with the sand, silt, and the clay, right? And the topmost, the topsoil, which have where we have our like a vegetation or the crop, that is the topsoil with the fertility with humus. Okay. And what are the factors which leading to the soil formation? This part, right? So first one is the parent rock, which determines, like the parent rock. We have seen in this one that the parent rock is there, right? So the parent rock determines the soil formation through various, like weathering, the soil is forming with the from the parent rock. So the parent rock is there, because of which what is determining the color, texture, chemical properties, minerals, okay, and the content, all these are determined by the parent rock. Then we have the climate. Because of temperature, if rainfall, we know that rainfall is a major factor for the soil, right? Weathering process and the humus formation. Okay. Then we have the relief, altitude, slope, what the altitude is, what the slope is, because the right, we have seen that with the when the valley is falling, it carrying with it it's like whatever the ingredient it is getting from the courses, the river is carrying with it, sand, silts, clay, all this is carrying with all these are carrying with the river. So they determine the accumulation of the soil. And then we have the flora, fauna, and the microorganism. All these are very important, the component for the fertility. And the time, with the time, we have the thickness of the soil profile. We know that the like with the time the soil erosion takes place. It's a natural process, right? So with the time we have, it's determining the thickness of the soil. Thickness of the soil. Then we have the threat. Even threat, soil is having the threat. What are the threat? Which is the major threat to the soil erosion and the depletion. The quality of the soil. Like when you take agriculture, even when we take the basic, like agriculture, we are doing the agriculture. When we do the agriculture for a longer period of time, so what this leads to, the quality of the soil will be decreasing, right? All the nutrients are lost. So this, and the soil erosion is also there. Soil erosion takes, all these two things are taking because of two factors, natural and the human factor again. So the natural are the rainwash, the landslide, sliding of the land, and the flood. So these are the natural factors, and the human factors are deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of the chemical fertilizer, pesticides. All these are similar to the land degradation, right? So what we can do? Okay. So this is some particular terms or the methods we use in the land soil conservation. The first is the mulching. The bare ground plant is covered with a layer of organic matter like the straw. Like the fodder crops, we use to protect the surface, like we are used to protect the soil from it. For this, the soil will be able to retain its moisture, the quality will not degrade, and also it will not erode because of the wind. And then we have the contour barrier. What is the contour? It is actually depicting the elevation. It is an imaginary line which is joining the same elevation. Okay, so the contour barrier. So what is barrier? Means obstacle. When we using the stone, grass, or soil to build a barrier along the contour, you can see in this image that a contour has been built. The grasses, okay, trees, and in front of that contour barrier, we are having the trenches. That is a depression which will collect in the slopey area, which will collect, if we create a barrier, all the soil or what has been coming with the water, it will be collected in this depression, and we will be able to conserve our soil, right? Similar to the contour barrier, we have a rock dam. Okay, it is also act as a barrier. With this creating, like we are putting piled up the rocks in a way that will slow down the water. Okay, that is coming with the gullies. Okay, this will protect the soil. Then we have terrace farming. So terrace farming, it is like building a flat, like cutting the slope in a flat way, in which we will be able to cultivate the crop also, which is favorable for that region, and able to protect the soil also in the both the ways, by cutting the slope, and the crop, by cultivating the crop, it will be holding the soil with its roots. Then we have intercropping. So as the term is intercropping, like we are growing the crops in it's not like that the same crop is growing in all the rows. It's like one row having a different crop, one row is having different crop, like one vegetable is grown in this and the other one in the second row. Okay, in this way we will be able to conserve our soil. So even it can be done that at different point of time we are cultivating different crops. And then we have the contour plowing. So when we are cultivating or plowing the crops according to the contour is the elevation, right? It is an imaginary line which depicts the elevation. So according to the contour, when we are cultivating, it is the contour plowing, and it acts as a barrier that will slow down the what? It will slow down the soil erosion. Then we have shelter belts. So the shelter belts is in the coastal areas or in the dry areas, like in the desertic area where there is a strong wind erosion. So what happens with the wind erosion is that the soil is fine grained structure, right? So the fine grained structure is happening like the wind is coming with that. Okay, if there is no nothing act as a barrier, what will happen? The wind will be carrying the soil with it in the longer distance, But if we have a barrier, so what will happen? The wall will act as a barrier, and it will fall down. The soil will be settled down in that area. So what we do is the shelter belt. As I have explained, the barrier is the tree. So shelter belt is when we are cultivating a line. In a line, the trees are we are planting the trees. So in this way, we will be able to protect the soil erosion. So these are the how we will be able to protect our important resource, the land and the soil resource, which is a basic and the utmost important resource of our earth. So thank you, class. Hope you have enjoyed this class. And